Dear Edit, last night, I finally went on a date with this guy who's been asking me out for the past couple of months. He took me to a weight loss seminar. What's your what the fricking frick is this moment in your dating history? Went out with a girl for a first date. She took me to a Kumdo lesson, which is a Korean sword fighting sport. I thought that was cool, but it was an advanced class and I made somewhat of a fool of myself, but all in good fun. Anyway, it turned out that she was bringing me there because she wanted me to be part of a documentary about foreigners in Korea. So my looking like a fool was broadcast nationwide. We then visited the Grandmaster's house for Makiali and the film crew started interviewing me. They were basically focusing on my relationship with the girl I was going out with. They didn't seem to understand it was a first date. So here I am trying to answer awkward questions without embarrassing both of us on national television. There's bad dates. Then there's nationally televised bad dates. There was a guy who had been asking me to hang out for a while and I finally said yes. He wanted to hang out at his house with his roommate, so I went. He took me into the basement where there was a dirty mattress on the floor and nothing else. I ran. To this day I have no idea what it was about, but I ran and never told anyone about it until now. Finally someone with common sense. Your brain says run and you did. Good for you. When I was a teenager I worked at a retail store in the mall and a guy who worked a few stores down would always come in and talk to me. He was super sweet and genuine and would randomly take me to lunch, bring me coffee and the like. It was nice to just have someone to talk to and who seemed genuinely interested in me and what I had to say. He asked me on a date a few times and I always declined. I don't like the idea of dating someone who I work next to, just in case it goes sour. After a month or two I finally agreed to go on a date with him, because good guys are hard to find. I couldn't just let him pass by. He picks me up at my house and on our way to dinner we get into a car accident. The driver's side was T-boned pretty badly and we ended up having to go to the hospital where he contacted his roommate, who then contacted my date's girlfriend. I must know what happened when his girlfriend found out he got in a car accident taking another woman out on a date. After my freshman year of college I met a guy on a K-Cupid and we went to get dinner at Fridays as our first date. Offered to give me a ride, but I said no. He was a couple years older, well dressed and started talking about how he'd started his own business after college and it was going well. Good for him. Bragging a bit, but hey, that's an accomplishment. So after we order he says let's play a game. We'll each take out our wallets and compare what's in them. Wasn't a joke. Literally started showing me his credit cards and bragging about the high limits. Ending with clearly you can't afford to pay for this dinner, but don't worry I can cover you. I was pissed and protested but he wouldn't take no for an answer. So as we leave he says he wants to show me his car. Unfortunately it was before mine in the lot so I had to walk by it. It was a white, windowless serial killer van. He begged me to frick him in it, right there in the Fridays parking lot. I was pretty glad I drove separately. Hopefully I won't need to do dating again ever, but if I do, your story has made me decide that if I do I will take my own transport. A guy I had met 3 days previously offered to pick me up and hang out. I was cool with that, but he ended up dragging me around on errands. We went to his dentist appointment, and then when I said I wanted to leave, he said he'd give me a ride home but only in exchange for a BJ. I was pretty scarred about dating after that, and no, I didn't give him a BJ. I got out right there and walked to a bus stop. I went on a date with a guy that I met online. He told me to dress nice and that he was going to take me out for dinner. He took me to Subway, ordered a foot-long teriyaki chicken sub. He looked at me and said, "I hope you like teriyaki chicken." We shared the sub in his car. Safe to say there was no second date. It's stories like this that make me feel like the guy in this scenario is doing a dare that his friends bet him he wouldn't do. Hey Tom, bet you won't take a chick out on a first date to Subway, buy one sub for yourself, and share it in your car with her awkwardly. Bet I will. Went to pick a girl up at her house after meeting on a dating website. She seemed significantly larger than her photo, but only in the lower abdominal region. This is when I realized that she had failed to mention that she was pregnant. Similar story. Guy I worked with kept asking me out. I continuously said no. After about a year, I started to feel bad for the guy and said yes to a date. He asked me to lunch so I figured it could be a quick easy date. He picked me and took me to Wendy's, where he made me order off the dollar menu. and I could only get 2 things. After this very quiet lunch where he hunkered over his chicken nuggets like I would steal them, he said he needed to stop at Walmart. We go in and he heads to the lotion section. Strange, but whatevs. He then grabs 2 scented lotions and asks which one I like better. Being nice, I pick one, and he responds with, "Great, I'll use this for your massage." Oh, luckily I had to work in 2 hours and told him the massage would have to wait. I spent the next 3 months trying to avoid him until he quit. I met this cute girl in college. I asked her out a couple times. She was really into me. Numerous occasions we sat in a coffee shop for 6, 7, 8 hours talking the night away, but couldn't do anything about it as she was seeing someone else. Okay, fair enough. I'm a little persistent. We hang out on and off. 6 months later, after she and her significant other break up, or so I was told, we start seeing each other. Fast forward 8 months and she's at my place 6-7 days a week. Has taken over half my condo with her stuff. We commute to work together. I'm having supper with her parents. Always hanging out with her sisters and their boyfriends. She's always over at my parents'. Things are going really well. I was crazy about her. Part of the family and all that good stuff. About a week before Christmas she sits me down and basically says that she never really broke up with her boyfriend. He was just out west. He was coming home and we were over. She was just seeing me on the side and quite frankly didn't understand why I wasn't seeing someone else at the same time. Seeing how we weren't all that serious. Excuse me, what? She showed me pictures of her ex's dong. Before and after she photoshopped a little cowboy hat and sheriff's badge on it. That's hilarious. I had a guy take me to a beer and Christ thing. He was uber Catholic and thought I could benefit from letting Christ into my cold Jewish heart. So I go. I'm open-minded. I'm only half Jewish and have always been interested in other religions. It was going okay until the priest, the speaker of the night, told us a hypothetical tale of our brother who is paralyzed. We have the ability to cure him with stem cells. He will walk as soon as the transaction is complete. How many of you here would purchase these stem cells and allow your brother to walk again? My hand shoots up. I look around the room. Nothing. No hands. I then notice everybody staring at me, including my date and the priest. I was blessed out like nobody's business and was told I was an embarrassment to my date. Good times. Not sure how long ago this was for you. If it was recently, you could have pointed out to everyone there that stem cell research and treatment no longer requires the use of fetal stem cells, and in fact, can be done with stem cells from an adult. Then ask the priest and everyone present who wouldn't donate their own stem cells to save their brother. Science is pretty awesome. After I made him dinner, did the dishes, and we made amazing love, he rolled over mid-cuddles to tell me all about his ex-girlfriend, how I had no desirable girlfriend-esque traits, and that the only reason he liked me was because I liked him. I boosted his confidence. This was after a month of seeing each other. Be glad that he told you this a month in. I found this out from an ex years after the relationship when we were having a conversation. We remained friends. I just liked you because you were so into me. Jesus. On my first date with a guy off an internet dating site, he took us to the Scientology Museum in London. I thought original. Easy to find things to talk about, laugh at the craziness of. This could be fun. Then he proceeded to read every single piece of writing on every single exhibit, ask the attendant very probing questions about how one goes about joining Scientology, etc., and sounding slightly too interested to just be intrigued about a religion. Also, he was visibly sweating. Once we were done there, we went for a glass of wine and he told me he used to shoot H. I was out of there like a shot. When I was young and stupid, I dated a guy with a temper. He would get mad about something stupid like saying goodbye too quickly on the phone, pick a fight and we'd break up. He would call a day or two later and we would make up. After a few months I had figured out the cycle and I was fed up. So, when he picked a fight as usual, I ended it and then didn't take him back. While we were dating, I had become close with his sisters and his mom loved me. We had scheduled a girls' lunch and his sister begged me to go. I finally said yes and went. Everything was fine and I had a great time. The whole lunch was probably 2 hours long. At the end I walked to their car with them and the mom grabbed me and said, "Hear him." Out of the car comes her son, WTF, who was trying to explain to me why we should be together. I just walked past him to my car as he ran after me. He ended up picking a fight with me because it was my fault we broke up and I didn't even call him so he could fix it. Then he threw rocks at my car as I drove away. I wish I had a picture of what my face looked like when he came out of that car. I never spoke to him again and never accepted another invitation from his family. Sounds like his family didn't realize how crazy he was. He probably treated his mom and sisters as badly as he treated you. Oh no, that would be so hilarious if I wouldn't feel bad for you. The only fricked up moment was when my date was on the phone for quite a while talking to her friends that I didn't know. It was quite boring, obviously. It even got to the point that the old lady who had coffee next to our table in the restaurant told me that back in her day, the guys would have not accepted that behavior from their dates. Not that I want to relive the old days, but I heeded her advice. Dang, that old lady just called you a bee. I'm sure this has happened to everyone who has dated online. I met a guy online who seemed really nice. We exchanged a few emails and got along well enough, so we decided to meet up for a matinee. We exchanged pics so that we could at each other at the theater where we were meeting. I show up, expecting to see the heavy-set dude around my age because that's what his profile and pic said. Instead, he was about 20 years older and 100 pounds heavier than his picture. I am a fairly open-minded person when it comes to dating, and I know that men are folks embellish, but come on. We watched our movie in silence and politely parted ways. I thought you were meeting up for a manatee and was like, whoa, what a cool date. There's been a few, but the absolute worst was the woman who turned up to the pub with literally no money, expecting me to buy her drinks and dinner. I wouldn't have minded if she'd have told me beforehand, but this was completely out of the blue. So anyway, we sat there making awkward conversation. Or at least I tried to start a conversation. Told her about my life. Asked her questions. She was too busy texting and phoning her friends to really take notice. So eventually we did get talking. And then out of nowhere, she told me that she killed her dog. Not accidentally either. I just upped and left and avoided all contact. That was 2 years ago. Jenny, how do I get out of this lol? Tell him you killed her dog lol. I met a local dude on OkCupid and we decided to meet up one night to hang out. He took his dog out in my car because he thought we would make love. Not okay, sir. Not okay. Had one. Not really a date though, a few years back in high school. Socially awkward, lanky, weird English guy called Derek. We were friends in the same group, and in the same maths class. He had the hots for me for a while. He kept hinting at dating and seeing a movie. All my guy friends asked me to give him a chance. He's not that bad, blah blah. I decided not to date him but to try and be more accepting of him even though he kinda gave me the creeps. And hopefully if we were just friends he would get the message and leave me alone in the creepy sense. I invited him around to my place for video games and a few rounds of pool. However, I made sure my dad was home as Derek didn't make me feel all that comfortable for some reason. Anyway, we take turns at THPS2 and head down to the garage for a few rounds of pool. I whip his butt at pool and he realizes he needs to get home. I see him to the door and say goodbyes and we have a brief hug. As I pulled away from the hug, he grabbed me by the wrists quite hard. Derek, please reschedule. Please kiss me. Me dude. What are you doing? Let me go. Derek holding my wrists tighter and now hurting me. Please, please, I've never been kissed. Please, me WTF Derek, let me go. By this point he's trying to bring me closer to him and puckering up for a kiss, still keeping a really strong and painful grip on my wrists. I am squirming trying to get away from him. He was really strong though. Me let the frick go or I am calling down my dad. Derek, you wouldn't dare. Please, just kiss me. Me darad. Come here, I swear. I've never seen a boy move faster out of a door than Derek did then. My dad chased him down the road calling him every name under the sun. Last I heard about him he had been done for sexual assault. Edit. Spelling. Edit 2. My most upvoted comment is about my naivety, assault and a kick butt dad to the rescue. Thanks for the responses guys. I can assure you at the time my intentions were good, but I was young and stupid. Glad my dad was there else it could have gotten a lot worse. This is the point where you don't feel bad for kicking a guy in the balls. I went on a couple dates with this girl and she was giving me some signs that she was ready to get a little physical. So I lean in close and try to kiss her, and she turns her face away from me. Stunned, I end up going home and thinking it was over between us. Later on, she contacts me and starts hinting we should go out again. I decide to go for it. Again, after getting some heavy hints, and she pushes me away. So now I just ask, what's going on? She says, I am on dates with you so I don't feel like I'm undesirable, but I'm not attracted to you. She called me the next day and I told her I'm not dating people who make me feel undesirable, then hang up. You may have just solved one of the biggest mysteries of my life. I am going to assume I was once in the same situation as you. In college, this guy from one of my classes asked me to go out with him out of the blue. We'd never even talked before, but he was pretty cute so I said sure. We exchanged numbers and he said he'd call me with details. He called the next day and told me we were going to a restaurant that was way out of my price range. We're talking like no way will this bill will be under $100. I tried talking him out of it, and when that didn't work, flat out saying I couldn't afford something like that, but he insists and tells me not to worry. This all really should have been a clue to me. So I say fine and agree to go. We get to the restaurant and the waiter comes over and I go to order the cheapest thing on the menu when he stops me and says ignore her. We're both having the steak, but I don't like steak. She's just saying that because she's poor. We'll have steak, and shoos the waiter away. I'm mortified and pee and want to leave, but he was my ride. He tries to make conversation and just proves to me that he really isn't, but then he says he has to go to the bathroom and leaves. I'm sitting there for a good 10 minutes before he texts me, hahaha, I got the shoots from drinking last night, don't eat without me. That was the last straw. I called the waiter over, pay for my meal, and go to the Starbucks down the street to call my friend to pick me up. TL. Dr. Guy was trying to impress me and was the world's biggest butt. WTF. The guy sounds like he's 12. First date and he took me to a strip club. I took a girl out on a first date to see Sucker Punch. I didn't get a second date. A girl I had just met asked me out. She wanted to take me to dinner. We end up at this little Italian place. She says she knows someone that works there. When our waiter arrives, he appears visibly shaken, stuttering. She introduces me to him. This is her friend she mentioned before. I can see it right away. This guy has a thing for her, and here she is introducing him to her date. She then bugs him for special orders and asks if we can get our meals free. He really seems upset, but gives her the anything for you look and agrees. I decline and pay for my own meal. I felt really bad for this guy. I could just see his torment at watching this girl date someone else. She was very attractive and very friendly. I assumed he just got friend-zoned. I hung out with her a few more times, but backed off of the romantic part. Then I found out that the guy from the restaurant was her ex-boyfriend, who she had just dumped a few days before and had been dating since high school. This was 2-3 years after I graduated. TLDR. Girl tried to get her recent ex-BF to serve me free food. I was already cringing before I got to the bit about being an ex-boyfriend. My god, that's just... I have been in this situation, but not as a date. Here is my story. So I'm working at Borders. This was around the time that it had just gone into voluntary administration in Australia, and I'm chatting to a customer for a bit about how I am trying to find work as a freelance graphic designer while finishing up uni. She mentions to me that she might have some work for me. I give her my card and think I've totally found a new client. She invites me to a local coffee shop to chat and I'm really excited about some prospective work. During our coffee chat, she asks me what I do. Okay, she must have forgotten I thought. I told her I do graphic design and she goes, ooh cool. I used to do graphic design too, but I don't need to do that anymore. This is where I think, hang on, why is she even talking to me? So she pretty much was trying to recruit me to pretty much become her lackey and sign up for a pyramid scheme, where I can sell vitamins and whatnot. Get people I know to work for me and earn even more money and get cool crap like holidays and loads of money and gift cards and clothes and everything. But she just would not stop selling it to me. I regret giving her my card. I got a text from her the other day saying that we should catch up. Yep, number. So pretty much, This friend of yours seems to be milking every single acquaintance he knows. Acquaintances are good because they are not close friends, but they are still connections. This lady I met seemed to wave to a lot of people, so I'm assuming she had tried to poach them from their monotonous retail jobs as well. Honestly, the best thing to do is just ignore his texts and emails and whatnot. Works a charm. You have been visited by the magical sugar jar Puggo. He'll only share his sweetener if you comment Surga please, Mr. Pupper. Thanks for watching. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.